Nicol. He was the Lib Dem parliamentary candidate for Bromsgrove at the last general election and is a consultant neurologist. Morning to you, David.
Good morning, Tony.
What do you make of what's happened?
I'm trying to be very careful with what I say at 10 to 8 in the morning. I'm absolutely fuming. And it is time for them to go because they lied. They lied to parliaments, they lied to the country, while the rest, they partied while the rest of us were working hard during the pandemic. I think back, I wrote to my MP in May 2020, the week that my son's best friend committed suicide in lockdown, only to find out that was when one of those parties occurred. So a lot of us suffered a lot of pain through that. My son wasn't able to attend his friend's funeral. And there were many people, many listeners who will have suffered similarly. And, when you don't know the difference between truth and lies, it's time for you to leave public office. And it's time for them to go.
Well, he says that, he's apologised for it. Both the Prime Minister and the Chancellor have apologised. The Chancellor, I deeply regret the frustration and anger caused, and I'm sorry. The Prime Minister, as I said on the front of the Telegraph, people have the right to expect better. He's apologised and paid the fine. Should that not be the end of the matter? Because there are other things that he says he needs to be getting on with now.
Let's go back a step. Remember, he did everything possible to avoid this. He lied to the House of Commons. Okay, that is normally, in normal times, that's a resignation matter.
Well, in his terms at the time, he said, I died. It didn't occur to him that it was actually a party. He was presented with his cake and realised, how many people had been gathered around him. Sometimes you're blind to these things. You're not taking any notice.
A lawbreaker cannot be a lawmaker. And go back to the Sue Gray report. Remember, staff reported that they knew this was wrong, okay? And there was a lot of pressure on them to not blow the whistle. And this story wouldn't have happened without that. Earlier this year, Simon Knox, former chairman of the Bromsgrove Conservative, blamed the BBC, so blamed you, okay, for this story, that this wasn't stuff that people are interested in. And particularly at the moment, when we're in such a hard time, we've got the war in Ukraine and the economic crisis, we must have leaders that we trust. And, frankly, Johnson lies as easy as the rest of us breathe. Just not good enough.
But that are strong words, and he's not actually here to defend himself. But at the same time, as you're saying, there are lots of things going on. Would this be the right time to change leadership with so much going on? Would that not be distraction from the actual issues at hand, the energy crisis, the war in Ukraine? Can we really be looking at putting somebody else in power at the same time?
We did in World War II, and this is just as important, okay? We are in the biggest crisis since World War II. We need a leader that we can trust. We're going to have to make really difficult decisions that are causing, literally right now, economic pain, where people have to make the choice between heating and food by much of their policies. So I would say to all the Conservative candidates in the local elections, are you prepared to stand by a liar? And that's what it comes down to.
So do you think both Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak should go?
We have to have leaders we can trust. I'm not being. There are aspects of government which are actually doing well. So on defence, we've done a good job with supplying weapons to the Ukrainians. But we cannot be led by a Prime Minister who lies so blatantly and tries to cover it up. Wrongdoing in public office is unacceptable. In fact, next week there's a whistleblowing bill coming to Parliament from a Tory backbencher, which I think should get full support because it'll help. This story wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the whistleblowers in Number 10.
Would it not be right for the people to actually decide?
And they will in May. And that's why I would say to any Conservative Party candidate, are you prepared to stand by a liar? I just don't think it's acceptable. And so we should kick him out.
David, thank you for your thoughts. That's Dr. David Nicol. He was the Lib Dem parliamentary candidate for Bromsgrove at the last general election and is a consultant neurologist. A lot of you have been having